All right, guys, so we are actually here. The ending to Secret Warriors, the final volume. Now, this is actually Jonathan Hickman wrapping everything up with a bow, but also giving us the chance to see Nick Fury actually win. And what I mean by that is, remember, Nick Fury found out that technically this entire time S.H.I.E.L.D. was being controlled by Hydra. And so because of that, you had Nick Fury go out of his way to technically take down Hydra once and for all, for one, being bad guys, but two, because they were secretly controlling S.H.I.E.L.D. this entire time. Now, while you had Nick Fury try to take down Hydra, you then had another group pop up, and that group was Leviathan. Now, when it came to Leviathan, all we knew so far was they wanted revenge against Hydra, but also Nick Fury in the Howling Commandos as well. And we did learn that there was some kind of bad blood between all three groups. The Howling Commandos and Nick Fury, also Hydra, and also, of course, Leviathan. And so because of the three groups having bad blood, we technically had a three-way war. Now, this final volume right here is going to explain everything we have been seeing in this entire run, but also tell us the connection between Hydra, Leviathan, and the Howling Commandos, but also give us the chance to see Nick Fury actually win and get his revenge on Hydra. And so in the opening pages of this book, we actually do pick up in the year 1961. And we're going to learn a whole lot more about the Howling Commandos and Nick Fury, but also Hydra and Leviathan as well. And really more of Leviathan, because they were technically a new group that popped up recently in this series. Either way though, when we actually pick up with Jake Fury, he's right now being brought to a secret base. Now, he has no idea where this base is actually at. And the reason why, because he was blindfolded. Either way though, once he does arrive at the entrance of the base, you then have the guard of the base say, "Please say your name." Now, this is Jake Fury thinking, okay, you want my name and what I do. So my name is Jake Fury, and I am, but right before he's able to actually explain what he does, he's actually cut off by the guard. And the guard says, no, use your actual code name for this meeting. And you have Jake Fury say, fine, Fury, aka Scorpio. And so because of that, he was able to open up the entrance and go inside this secret base. And so that is the moment where you do have Jake Fury go inside the secret base. Now, when he does go inside the secret base, that is the moment where he's actually in a special meeting. And this right here is giving us our first look of a brand new group called the Great Will of Zodiac. Now, with that being said, though, the Great Will of Zodiac is going to explain everything that has been happening in the entire run of Secret Warriors. This is Jonathan Hickman wrapping everything up with a nice little bow. And so with that being said, when it comes to the Great Will of Zodiac, this new group is basically a bunch of men from different groups in Marvel Comics coming together because one particular guy called for this meeting. And we come to find out that you do have people from S.H.I.E.L.D. or the Howling Commandos at this point in time. And that would be Jake Fury, Nick Fury, John Garrett, Cornelius Van Lunt, Dum Dum Dugan, Thomas Davison. Now, here's the thing though, you also have leaders from Hydra as well, and that would be Baron Von Strucker and Daniel Whitehall. You also have leaders from Leviathan as well, so of course the Magadan and also Orion. But you also have a leader from the Hand there as well. Now, the Hand leader is actually brand new. This is his first appearance, and that will be Shoji Soma. Either way, all these guys came together because one particular guy called for this meeting, and that will be Leonardo da Vinci. Now, here's the thing though. He does not tell them or us that technically that is his name, but honestly, it is him. But either way, he says everybody here has a code name, and your code name is actually a zodiac sign. With that being said, the reason why I called you guys here is to help you guys, but to also have you guys help me, because I feel like we can help each other. I'm trying to achieve something great here, but at the same time, so are you guys. You guys are trying to win a war, a secret war, a spy war, I can help you guys win your war. But here's the thing though, you have to help me first. But here's one rule. You are not allowed to take any kind of notes about our meetings inside this place at all. And so if I see a pen and paper, I'm going to be very upset and replace you with someone else. Either way, are you guys down to actually help me win my objective so that I can help you guys win your objectives as well? And of course, you have every single person in the room say yes. Now, the reason why they're saying yes, because they are very intrigued on how Leonardo da Vinci is going to help them win their spy war. And so after the meeting, you then have Leonardo da Vinci break the group up into 3 different teams. And they all went on different missions across the world to collect different items that can actually help out Leonardo da Vinci. But once all the items are here, and then they're able to actually bring those items together to help him complete his objective, then on top of that, he'll help them with their spy war. And so we do see one team actually go over to Egypt. Now, the reason why they go over to Egypt is because there was a spaceship that had crashed there a long time ago. And that spaceship belongs to the alien race known as the Brood. Now, the Brood is an old Marvel comic thing. And when it comes to the Brood, they are technically this bug alien race that goes around and tries to conquer different planets in the most messed up way. Now, honestly, I would love to dive deeper into them more, but right now we have to continue on. Either way, we come to find out on the Brood spaceship, there is some kind of power source that Leonardo da Vinci wants from that spaceship. And so, of course, Team 1 went over to Egypt to find that spaceship, to find the power source, which they do. Unfortunately, they do run into an army of the Brood. And so now they have to fight their way out of there and bring that power source back over to Leonardo da Vinci. Now, team number 2 was actually sent over to a chapel in France. And the reason why, because in that chapel, there is another special item there. Now, technically, we are not told what this item is just yet. As a matter of fact, we learn about the item down the road. Either way, though, you do have the team arrive at the chapel. And of course, you do have the nuns very upset about the idea that there are guys just walking in with guns like it's no big deal. Either way, they do go into the underground area of the church. And when they do, they find this coffin. Now, when they open up the coffin, of course, they do find the particular item that Leonardo wanted. But the problem is, though, out of nowhere, a bunch of tentacles just come out of nowhere and begin to grab Jake Fury and attack his group as well. Now, the third team went over to the Zagros Mountains. And the reason why, because there was a secret base that was being guarded by a bunch of robots. Now, when the team arrives at this base, of course, they break in, and we kind of find out what did Leonardo da Vinci wanted from this particular base. And right now we see that there are a bunch of containers just there. Now, we saw these containers, matter of fact, in the earlier stories of Secret Warriors. And we have to remember, those containers were basically used by Leviathan as a way to keep their warriors in stasis for a long period of time, until the right time to come out of stasis. And so now the question is, how did Leviathan get their hands on the containers? Did they double cross the Great Wheel of Zodiac? Either way, their mission is accomplished and they bring the containers back over to Leonardo da Vinci. And so once you have all the 3 teams come back together at the meeting spot for the Great Wheel of Zodiac, well, that is the moment we kind of find out that each group was able to bring back the item that they were sent out there to retrieve, except Jake Fury's group. And this right here is going to begin the process of portrayals in the Great Wheel of Zodiac. And what I mean by that is you have Team 1 say, hey, we found the power source of the Brood spaceship. Team 3 says, hey, we found the containers that you were looking for. But when it comes to Team 2, Jake Fury's team, they're all like, hey, we didn't find anything at all. Now that right there is not true, because we saw them. When they had opened up the coffin, something attacked them. And of course, they had survived that attack to be here right now. But the question is, though, what did they find? And matter of fact, Leonardo da Vinci knows that Jake Fury is basically lying about saying we didn't find anything at all. And so this leads into Leviathan beginning the process of actually portraying the great will of Zodiac. And the reason why I'm saying that, because once you have everybody figure out what Leonardo was trying to do with the containers, but also the power source of the Brood spaceship, we come to find out that he was trying to create his own super soldiers. So let me explain. Originally, the containers could keep someone in stasis, and they could stay frozen in time for however long until they're actually woken up. But here's the catch though. If those containers are basically hooked up to the power source of the Brood spaceship, it can then actually change them while being inside the containers. And so imagine this. If you're inside a container, you're right now on stasis, but you're also being turned into a super soldier. And so that's what it seems like when it comes to Leonardo da Vinci, what he wanted to do, to create an army of super soldiers. But here's the problem though. Leviathan betrays the group. And so this moment right here explains how Leviathan was able to get their hands on the containers, but also the power source that belongs to the Brood. And so because of that, they began to attack the rest of the great will of Zodiac and being able to escape with the containers as well. But this is also the moment we see that Nick Fury gets his eye shot, which explains why he only has one eye, because of this fight right here. And so with that being said, Leviathan had betrayed the great will of Zodiac and got away with the containers, but also the power source that came from the Brood spaceship. Now 1 month later, we come to find out that Hydra and the Hand actually joined forces. Baron von Strucker actually teamed up with Grandmaster Soma. And the reason why? To get revenge against Leviathan for basically betraying the group. Now, of course, they do find the base that belongs to Leviathan. And when they do find the base of Leviathan, you had Hydra in the Hand attack the base. Now, it did lead into a very huge battle. But here comes the big problem though. And not really a problem for Hydra nor the Hand, but the problem for Leviathan. And the reason why, because Orion, the leader of Leviathan, he does get stabbed by Baron von Strucker. Now, right after he was stabbed, you didn't have the Magadan try to put Orion inside the machine to basically heal him up in one of the containers. The problem was though, when he did that, you had Grandmaster Soma take the power source that came from the Brood spaceship away from the containers. And so instead of actually getting healed up and becoming a super soldier, the containers began to feed on themselves, basically turning Orion into something different, not into an actual super soldier. And so he was technically not saved at that moment. But with that being said though, you didn't have Hydra in the Hand leave the base after being able to take out the leader of Leviathan. Now we then jump back over to Nick Fury. Now when we do, we see Nick Fury right now meeting up with Leonardo da Vinci to basically say what you did was wrong. You calling us all here was a huge mistake, because technically now you had unleashed two powerful organizations out there, Hydra and also of course Leviathan, and we have no idea what they're going to do down the road to the rest of the world. But thanks to you, you have technically ticked off the two powerful leaders and could lead them down the road to do more horrible things to the entire world. Good job, man. Now when it comes to Leonardo da Vinci, he says this is actually not over. And then the meeting ends on that note right there. But then we jump to the present day. And matter of fact, we pick up where our last video left off at, where you have Nick Fury get captured by Hydra. Now, once he's brought inside this room, we come to find out that he's being held hostage alongside with Baron von Strucker. Now that right there is huge, because Baron von Strucker was technically, before the storyline, still the leader of Hydra, or one of the 5 leaders of Hydra. Either way, right now we come to find out they're being held hostage by Kraken. Now remember, the Kraken right now is not the old school Kraken. The old school got killed off, and we have no idea who is this new Kraken who's right now pretending to be the old one, because Baron von Strucker still believes that this right here is his old friend, not knowing it's not his old friend at all. But right now it seems like this Kraken is about to kill off Nick Fury and also Baron von Strucker. And so when we jump into the second chapter of the storyline, we actually do pick up right now with Baron von Strucker and Nick Fury being left alone in this room. Now, the reason why they're being left alone, because this is technically Kraken saying, I want you two guys to technically talk it out. I want you guys to come to peace with one another, because when I come back in this room, I'm going to kill you both. So hopefully you guys can actually have one last civil conversation. Now, once Kraken leaves the room, that is the moment you have Baron von Strucker say, hey, Nick, let's work together. Now, of course, Nick says no. And the reason why he says no, because it's Nick saying, I want to die. Now, the reason why Nick Fury wants to die, because he lost his son in the last video. He also lost Phobos, the son to Ares, the god of war. He wants to go ahead and give up. He lost a lot of people. And so right now, it's technically him saying, hey man, listen, we're not going to work together. Matter of fact, we are going to die together, because I have come to peace with the idea that dying is okay, because I deserve to die, because I led a lot of men to their deaths, including my own son. Now, once you have Kraken walk back into the room, of course, that is the moment you have Baron von Strucker want to know, why in the world did Kraken do this? Like, why in the world is he portraying Hydra, and why in the world is he portraying his dear old friend Baron von Strucker? Because Baron von Strucker doesn't realize that this is not his old friend Kraken. This is someone else right now pretending to be Kraken. Now, that is the moment where we actually do learn more about the box. Now, remember, the box was this special box we saw in the earlier parts of Secret Warriors. Now, at first, we had no idea what was so special about the box. But then later on, we learned that the box was actually containing the power source that came from the Brood alien ship. Of course, that is why Leviathan wanted the box so badly in the earlier parts of Secret Warriors, because with that power source, they'll be able to actually bring back their fellow soldiers out of stasis in those containers. And so that's why they've been going around the world looking for the box, looking for the power source. Now, in this flashback, we actually do see Grandmaster Soma, of course, the leader of the Hand, meeting up with Lord Shingen and also Silver Samurai. Now, remember, Silver Samurai was actually protecting the box in the earlier parts of this series. But of course, he gave the box over to Hydra. And the reason why, because they were trying to keep the box away from Leviathan. Of course, Leviathan got the box, and of course, being able to wake up their fellow soldiers. But in this flashback, though, is Soma saying, listen, every single time the box is opened up, Leviathan is able to find it. And of course, they come after it and try to retrieve it. And of course, the person who had opened up the box ends up dead. And the reason why, because as soon as the box is opened up, when it comes to Leviathan, they're able to trace the energy that comes from the power source to a location. And so when came to Soma, he had opened up the box. And so, of course, Leviathan came to where he was at and killed him off. But right before they did that, he was able to pass the box off to Silver Samurai, which now explains how in the world he was able to get his hands on the box. But when we get back to the present day, right now you have Baron von Strucker still trying to figure out why in the world is Kraken right now portraying Hydra, or technically portraying Baron von Strucker. Because right now to Baron von Strucker, it seems like Kraken just wants to kill off him and Nick Fury so that Hydra will be all his. But at the same time, with Nick Fury being dead, the main problem for Hydra will be gone as well. Not knowing that really when it comes to Kraken, this is not his Kraken. This is someone else right now pretending to be the old Kraken. Now that is the moment we come to find out that this Kraken is actually working with Nick Fury, because you have this Kraken cut Nick Fury loose. Now when it comes to Baron von Strucker, that is the moment he realized, oh my God, you're not my friend. You're not the old school Kraken. You're someone else. Who in the world are you? And that is the moment you have the reveal of this Kraken we've been seeing in the entire series. And we come to find out it is Jacob Fury, the brother to Nick Fury. This entire time we have been seeing him, he has been pretending to be Kraken as a way to kind of help Nick Fury bring down Hydra. Now, when it comes to Baron von Strucker, he cannot believe that what he is seeing right now, because technically right now, he is seeing Jacob Fury, who should be dead right now, which honestly is correct, because when it came to Jacob Fury, he killed himself. And so because of that, it's kind of like, why in the world is he here right now? How in the world is he here right now? He should be dead. And that is the moment you have Nick say, no, you did watch my brother die, but that was not actually my brother. That was actually a life model decoy that you watched die. And so then you have Nick tell Baron von Strucker, think back to the days of the Great Wheel of Zodiac, where we had to go on different missions. The other two teams came back with their objectives. We did not. We told you guys we didn't find anything, but that right there was actually false. What we found was the first prototype of the life model decoy. And that day, the life model decoy actually took form of my brother, Jacob. And so the entire time you were watching the life model decoy, not my real brother. And so ever since that day, we got better in building life model decoys. Either way though, the person you see right now, yeah, that is my real brother. The one you saw die years ago, yeah, that was the life model decoy. But then we come to find out there was one other person who was also a life model decoy that was used as a way to trick Baron von Strucker, because we come to find out Thomas Davidson was actually a life model decoy. So let me explain. Thomas Davidson is actually the guy who had apparently betrayed S.H.I.E.L.D. and joined Hydra, and then created a system that Hydra could use to control S.H.I.E.L.D. But in reality, that system was not actually made to help Hydra control S.H.I.E.L.D. It was the other way around. It was a system to help S.H.I.E.L.D. control Hydra. And when it came to Thomas Davidson, it was a life model decoy that was technically working for Nick. And so in reality, in this entire run, in this entire series, Hydra has been actually working for S.H.I.E.L.D. S.H.I.E.L.D. has been controlling Hydra. Nick Fury has been controlling Hydra. It's not the other way around. And so right now, it's Baron von Strucker realizing, oh my gosh, I've been played this entire time. And so when we jump into the third chapter of this storyline, it does lead into Nick Fury saying, you know what, because you now know everything, it's about time for you to basically die. And so I'm going to kill you off. Now, when it comes to Baron von Strucker, he's kind of like, you know what, even though you were able to play me, at least I will know that I was able to actually take away things away from you. Talking about his son and also other soldiers that Baron von Strucker had killed off. Now that is the moment you have Nick say, no, actually, you did not take anything from me at all. I took things from myself. I let things go on for too long. And so because of that, my son is now dead. His entire team is now dead, all because of me. And so no, in reality, Baron von Strucker, you did nothing to me at all. It was just myself and my stupidity that led to the death of my son. And so that is the moment you have Baron von Strucker get shot in the head by Nick Fury. And so technically right now, he is actually dead. But then we pick up with Leviathan. And when we do pick up with Leviathan, it's right now them saying we should go ahead and attack the last few bases or the last few leaders of Hydra and finally get rid of them. The problem is though, while they're getting ready for their next attack, that is the moment they begin to watch all their different soldiers just explode left and right. And so of course that means something has happened to them once they were able to wake up from the containers, and now whatever happened to them is actually taking effect. And of course, killing them off one by one. And of course, when it comes to the leaders of Leviathan, they know it has to do with Nick Fury. But then we jump over to the United Nations Security Council. Now, when we do, we see them right now talking about the idea of helping other countries that were actually affected by the war between Hydra and Leviathan, which honestly is a great thing. But here's the thing though, when it comes to the United States, they're kind of like, listen, we're down to help out. And matter of fact, we had already put some money into this project, but we want to be the ones who actually look over this project to make sure it actually runs correctly. And matter of fact, when it comes to the US president, he had already selected the person to be in charge of this project. And of course, that will be Senator Walston. Now, Senator Walston is actually a founding member of the Howling Commandos. And so that shows you right there that Nick Fury is still playing games right now. He's putting guys in different positions to kind of help him technically make sure the world is safe. And so when it comes to Senator Walston, he right now is going to be the one to run this project to make sure it does run correctly and smaller countries are actually helped out. But then we jump over to Berlin. Now the reason why, because we actually do pick up right now with Contessa. Now remember, Contessa was actually an old lover of Nick Fury, but at the same time though, we come to find out that she was actually secretly working for Hydra, but at the same time working for Leviathan. She was a triple agent, y'all. So at first, it's Nick saying, yeah, she's on my side, she's part of S.H.I.E.L.D. Nope, she's actually with Hydra. Nope, she's actually with Leviathan. Either way right now, in Berlin, she does walk into a federal agent office. And when she does, of course, this is her right now saying, I'm turning myself in because I realize we have lost. And there's no point of running or trying to hide from you guys and Nick Fury. But then we jump over to Daisy Johnson, who's right now in Hawaii. Now remember, Daisy Johnson is the field leader for the Secret Warriors. But let's not forget, this entire story so far, we have not seen them at all. This has been a heavily focused Nick Fury story. Either way though, it's right now Jacob Fury finding Daisy and handing her a letter. And he's all like, listen, I have no idea what Nick said in that letter, but I was told to give the letter over to you, so here I am. But right before you have Jacob Fury leave, you have Jacob tell Daisy that Nick told him that she was the best person that he had ever trained, meaning that he really does care a lot for Daisy Johnson. But then we come to find out that Daisy Johnson is actually not alone. That matter of fact, she's with Sebastian, and Sebastian is another member of the Secret Warriors. Either way, that is the moment where you do have the two characters looking at the news. And with them watching the news, of course, you have the news announce the new program that was technically started by the UN Security Council. And this new program right now being led by Walston, of course, one of the members of the Howling Commandos, who works for Nick Fury. And of course, when you have Sebastian and Daisy see this, they're like, oh my gosh, this is actually real. But then she reads the letter that was given to her by Jacob Fury that was written by Nick Fury. And right after she reads the letter, she's kind of like, hey, pack your bags. We have to go on a trip. Now, at this moment right now, we have no idea what was said in that letter. But of course, we'll find out in the next chapter. And so that is the moment where we actually jump into the final chapter of this storyline. Now, when we do, we actually do pick up right now with Nick Fury meeting up with Contessa in the interrogation room. Now, of course, remember, these two characters used to be lovers, and he was so hurt when she technically betrayed him, but also realized that she was a triple agent. Now, with that being said, this is the moment where we kind of find out what exactly happened to the soldiers of Leviathan. Because remember, earlier, they just blew up. And when it comes to Contessa and also Orion, they believe that technically they blew up because of something Nick Fury did. And they're right, it was Nick Fury's doing. And matter of fact, you have Nick Fury say, yeah, it was me. Remember the box, the box where you guys were looking for the power source that came from the alien ship, the Brood. Well, let me tell you right now, what you guys got was technically something else. And with that power source I gave you guys, it fed your guys too much energy. And so yes, it was able to wake them up and bring them out of their containers. But the problem was though is that they were fed so much energy that sooner or later their lifespan just burned out. And of course they died. And so with that being said though, it's Nick saying, yeah, I fed your guys technically poison. I gave them more energy, but that energy gave them a shorter lifespan. And so that is how I was able to actually defeat Leviathan and get rid of you guys once and for all. And so for Contessa, it's like, dang, I lost to Nick Fury. Like, he is the best spy in the world. And he's right now showing why he is the best spy in the world. And so that is the moment where we do jump over to Dum Dum Dugan and also Jasper Sitwell. And with that being said, we kind of find out that Dum Dum Dugan and Jasper Sitwell have been released from prison. Now this is great because remember, they were technically locked up because they helped out the Howling Commandos and Nick Fury take down one of the Hydra bases that was in China. And of course, because they had invaded a country illegally, they had to get locked up. But now they're being released because Hydra is no longer around. Neither is Leviathan. And so with all these different things happening, of course, everything's going great for Nick Fury and company. Now that is the moment where we actually do learn what was in the letter that was written by Nick Fury but given over to Quake, aka Daisy Johnson. And honestly, it's just Fury saying, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for the way I treated you, but also the rest of the team, but especially you, because I looked at you as a daughter, and I feel like I let you down. Even though this mission was successful, I feel like I let you down. And I really wish I can reset time and do this all over again and treat you the way I wanted to treat you, as a daughter. And so it's Nick Fury apologizing, but he does tell her, I wish for you and the rest of the Secret Warriors to actually reunite and become a superhero team again, except this time I want you to work with the Howling Commandos and go out there and do great things for the world. But please, please, ask the heroes one more time to come together and be a team once again to save the world, because I feel like you guys are ready to save the world. And so that was what's in Nick Fury's letter. And so then this leads into Steve Rogers meeting up with Nick Fury. Now, when they do meet up, this is Steve Rogers kind of upset with Nick Fury, but at the same time kind of proud of Nick Fury. And what I mean by that is Steve Rogers saying, look at what you did. Look at what you accomplished. It's great and all, but at the same time though, you did too much. This could have been handled so differently, so much better. Unfortunately, you did not do those things, but I'm happy to see that you are alive and well and that you were able to actually accomplish this mission. But it's also Steve Rogers saying, you will never do this again, because if I find out you're doing all these things behind my back again, I'll make sure to stop you and make sure you do things the correct way. And either way, it's Nick agreeing with Steve Rogers and the two characters just getting along and enjoying this moment together. Now, the last page does tell us that even though when it comes to Contessa being a triple agent, Nick Fury still cares for her a lot. And so because of that, we do see at the end of the book, Nick Fury is plotting to actually help Contessa break out of prison to be once again a free woman. And so we do see him smile, and we already know he has some master plan to actually free her. But this is where we are going to end today's comic book video. So please leave me a like down below and subscribe. Also, if you have any suggestions on books I should read, well, please let me know in the comments below, because you never know, your suggestion could be a future video down the road. But guys, I'll see y'all next time. Later.